part of the stories we tell and share. It took a bold innovator to reimagine how we do it.
What's incredible about AVID is that it's basically everywhere. I mean, you go into any post-production facility, any sound editorial facility, anything, you're going to find AVID.
The London Media Centre is Viacom's largest content and production hub in Europe. We've connected all our pre-production, post-production environments up together, and that's across the whole building, and everything goes through the same centralised storage. The scale of our digital workflow is really, really great.
Everyone is working together as a team, and AVID is like an enabling part, a key enabler of that idea, where you have all the components that you need to do the whole process, and you're all really basically speaking the same language.
AVID worked with us and gave us basically a roadmap to get to where we wanted to be, and we didn't have to look back.
We're talking about stuff that we can depend upon to run an entire facility 24 hours a day, on and on and on. AVID as a company is populated by people whose DNA is creatively in line with what we do.
AVID actually changed their data model to accommodate our needs. It was a partnership, and they treated it as such, and we really, really are reaping the benefits from it.
Over 25 years of reimagining. AVID.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and Chief Executive Officer, Luis Hernandez, Jr.
Welcome and good morning, everybody. Great to see you all here. This is the first formal gathering of the AVID Customer Association. I'm really glad you're here. We're joined today by the ACA Executive Board members. We have some of the members of the advisory councils here with us, members of the press, returning ACA members, and the majority of the group that's going to be here are actually new members, so that's great to see. Many of you are the world's and Europe's leading media professionals in broadcast, in audio, in video. So we're really excited that you can join us today. We also have several of the educational institutions with us in some of the sessions today, and a special thanks to you creating the next generation of media professionals. Important work now and in the future for us, so I'm glad you're all here. We also have some resellers, we have development partners, extremely important relationships for us, so we're really happy that all of you were able to join us. This is really what collaborative community is all about, which is the foundation to the AVID Customer Association. You know, the ACA asked us to put on this event because of the overwhelming response we had to our initial event at just before NAB in Las Vegas. I know some of you were there. Especially the reception that we had after. It's been really incredible. Now, the fact that over half of our business is international, and that includes over 10,000 of the largest media companies in the world and literally millions of end users all around the world, it makes sense that we would have an event here just before IBC. And it is fitting that we have it before IBC, the largest European trade show event in our industry, and so it's a great time to come together. You know, in Las Vegas, when we had that inaugural event, you never know what to expect, and as some of you know, we were really overwhelmed with the response, having double the planned attendance at that event. So much enthusiasm, people were so receptive, it was really just great to see. And since then, as I mentioned, we've had this groundswell of interest. We've had events all over the world, over 100 different follow-up events because of the interest in AVID Everywhere and what the ACA was all about. They'd heard a lot about what the products were doing, that they were actually real and they were working, and that really surprised a lot of people. One of my funnest events, because I'm a football fan or a soccer fan, was the event we had in Rio during the World Cup at IBC. And if you notice in the lower left-hand picture there, I'll bring that up. You can see me there with the World Cup. Now don't tell Germany, but I actually have the real World Cup in my possession. They have a replica. Mine's in my closet at home. I'm joking. By the way, I can't really tell that joke in Germany. They don't laugh very much. But it was a really fun event to go to, and we had some great conversations there, enjoyed some great football, and all these events around the world really were nice to see how engaged our community has been. You know, I think those matches there were a good example of the power of what we do together. Because as you know, in the sports world, the value of a lot of the franchises, the teams themselves, isn't because of ticket sales, isn't because of merchandising, isn't because of the per caps. Those have gone up moderately in the last 15 years. It's all the media rights. That's what's really driving the value of these sports teams. And so we have a real impact on our communities and our businesses. It's dramatic, and it was on full display there. Now, you know, when I came to AVID, I kind of asked the standard questions that you might ask if you were a new leader of an organization. You know, we had to assess why we were here, why we matter, how we're different. You know, some of the questions you might ask yourself if you joined a new company. And, you know, it's pretty obvious we had some clear advantages, some pretty remarkable advantages, and we also had a lot of opportunities. And we took input from literally hundreds of customers all around the globe. Some of you, I talked to that first 8 weeks, I remember. And from that, we formulated a strategy to move forward together for both AVID and for the industry. And we wanted to build this strategy on our heritage. And we wanted, because we have a very rich heritage, 25 years in the industry, and we wanted to do it in a way that solved today's most significant problems in areas where we had a right to compete and where we felt we can help. And this couldn't have happened at a better time, because I think the industry needs somebody more than ever to step forward and lead. Now, AVID Everywhere and the AVID Customer Association were anchors to this strategy. And today, I wanted to give you a quick update on both of these. We have some exciting developments on each of these items. First, let's start with the ACA. Some have called us, by the way, the largest, most ambitious collaborative media network in the world. We've had some great meetings since we started this organization, and that followed up with some meetings yesterday, very productive. Now, let me remind you why we created the ACA. First of all, it's pretty obvious to all of us our industry is changing fairly dramatically, and it's impacting almost everything that we do. And we just felt like now more than ever, we need to collaborate more intensely than ever. Just like we did at the beginning, AVID actually began sitting side by side with editors, creating our initial product that came out just over 25 years ago. And I was really surprised at how actively engaged our clients were. One of the learnings I had when I first came. A lot of our clients were very willing to share how we can help them, what their needs were, and we wanted to harness that energy. But this, unlike our beginning, is a much more ambitious plan. You see, we're a global organization, and the ACA is a global membership representing all segments all around the world and every aspect of the value chain. So it's a really challenging and large and significant organization. But this is the AVID Customer Association, actively trying to engage with the most important business issues that we face. Now, let me remind you exactly how it works. Because we've had so much new stuff coming out, we've spent a lot of time making sure people understood. This is a separate legal entity. It has bylaws and a board of directors like any legal entity. The executive board at the top, some of which are in the room here today and have been with us yesterday, they're actually the governance body. They manage the 6 advisory groups. Those advisory groups are the ones who actually provide us input. If you look in the center there, products and solutions, that's the one that most people are very active and want to be active, actually telling us about how to improve our products. But we wanted a lot more than that. So we have groups on strategy to the left, talking about the future of the industry, the business of being in media, so we can decide how best we can help solve those business issues. Standards and practices, things like metadata standards, technology standards. Even if you don't agree with us, at least you have an idea of where we're going, how we're progressing, so you can plan ahead. Products and solutions I mentioned, and we have the largest and most active group that's broken down by segments and products. Service and delivery is one that had a big hand in some of the big announcements that we have today. I'm excited to tell you about. Our partner community is our resellers, to make sure they're fully aligned and engaged. So much of our business comes through resellers, and the last one is community, getting more people engaged in what we're doing together. So this is the structure of the actual customer association. Each one of those advisory boards has a separate board of directors and active participants, all managed and governed by the executive board of directors. So that's how it actually works. Since we started, we've had some fantastic momentum. We started the organization, elected the officers, finished the bylaws, all the governance documents, etc. We held our initial in-person meetings at the AVID Connect event in April. Some of you might have been there. Several conference calls, beginning to focus on the issues that we can work on together. And that's usually why people get involved. They have a chance to influence what we do. Yesterday, we held our second in-person meetings right down the hall here, several meetings most of the day, and established those focus areas that we really wanted to tackle together. Membership has been growing steadily since the April event, and now we have an online community just for ACA members. You can interact, you can see the meeting minutes, you can see what we've been talking about, push forward agendas, a very transparent set of discussions that we're having. And by being here, you're now obviously an ACA member, and you're saying that you want to be a part of this community, that you're willing to get involved and shape the future, that it's important to you, and that you care about the future of something that impacts your livelihood. Now, because you're now a member of the ACA, remember that this is run for and by you. It's run for and by the members. We were invited here by the ACA to present the latest update on products preceding IBC. And it's only as strong as your involvement. So try to get involved, become active, make sure your voice is heard. Now, the ACA leadership will be contacting you formally to get a better understanding of how you want to participate and where you think you can add the most value. Now, if you look up here, we have some pretty amazing folks who have volunteered to lead this organization at the executive board level. Now, you'll see them, by the way, walking around. If you happen to see anybody with the red badges, please feel free to go up to them and ask them about the ACA and talk to them about any questions you have and how you want to get involved. So you'll see them with the red badges. Now, you'll notice up here, these are all volunteers, but they all have full-time jobs. And you can see by their titles, they have mostly very demanding positions. And you know, this industry's going through a lot, so you can imagine how busy they are. But they've decided to get involved. They've decided to get involved because it's important to them, it's important to their business, and it's important to their livelihood. And only by enough of you deciding this is important can we make this work together. Luckily, we've had a lot of interest so far. This is really the best of the best. The 125 total positions, the executive board's about 20, but all the advisory boards equal about 125 people of leaders in our industry from every major media organization, all segments globally. They're all representing you and your interests through blogs, interactive portals, which we've launched, updates, social media. All that's been created for you through the ACA. It's run by you, for you. So become an active part of this movement with them. Now, we've had a great year. I mentioned we've had meetings throughout the year, but our flagship event will be in Las Vegas again this April, just before NAB. So mark your calendars now. April 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'll let you write that down. 10th, 11th, and 12th, 2015. 3 packed days organized and coordinated by our clients. some pretty big announcements, like you'll be hearing later today, along with a whole bunch of other sessions that the ACA would like us to put on. And planning is well underway. Now, I mentioned last year that we had a lot more people than we expected to attend. 43 countries, almost 1,100 people. We had planned between 400 and 500 people. Now, you know, your negotiating position with the hotels and the food suppliers when a lot more people show up is pretty low. So it was difficult to manage, but we wanted to make sure as many people can show up. Well, this year, it's going to be a capped event. That means once we hit our targeted capacity, you'll go on a waiting list. Now, why am I mentioning this to you now? Because you're the first ones to hear. You should register as soon as you can. And registration will be open literally right after this presentation. You'll be able to go on to avidcustomerassociation.com and be the first to register. We'll then begin marketing the event actively. And like I said, it will be a capped event. So if you're interested in going, please sign up early so you don't get left out. Should be a lot of fun. Now, the second pillar of our strategy is, of course, AVID Everywhere. And it is the most ambitious product strategy this company has had since our inception. And some in the industry have said it's the most ambitious product strategy of the industry. And we just felt like AVID was in the best position to lead and deliver. Connecting the creative professional and creative process where we started to the distribution of those same assets we helped create. To bring these two processes together faster and more powerfully. And this morning you'll be hearing from me as well as from two members of our executive team. Chris Gahagan, who leads our products and technology group, and Rick Lowenstein, who runs our services, will both come up here and tell you more about some exciting announcements we're making in their areas. Now, we'll give you an update on AVID Everywhere, some of the new modules, some of the new products, an update on our strategy, things we think you'll be interested in hearing about. You'll see the new product announcements that continue our journey on the AVID Everywhere vision. You're going to hear about some customers that are already using the modules that we've already announced, some of their successes. You're going to hear about the first certified connected partner, something that got a lot of attention with the Connectivity Toolkit today. You're going to hear about the first group of certified partners. And finally, you're going to hear an industry first, another industry first, setting the standard for service, just as we did in technology, some pretty exciting service announcements to our services offering that I can't wait for you to hear about. But first, let's all get on the same page. I'm so thrilled that many of you were in Las Vegas, but actually the majority of you weren't. You're new members to the ACA. And we wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with a quick reminder of what AVID Everywhere is all about. Tell you about what it is, how we came up with it, a little bit of what was already launched, and then we're going to get into the new modules that everybody I know is excited to hear about. First of all, at NAB, we talked about the changes in the industry, which started with the digitization of our lives. And I know that's a high concept, but the point is that everything about the way we're living is becoming digitized. How we shop, how we communicate, how we pay for things, how we socialize, how we order cars. It's all changing, so it's no surprise that our industry is also being impacted. Now, the digital workflow can really change everything. It really allows you to reimagine what's possible, because creating great content is still important, but with a digital file record, you can now do it much more collaboratively. You can do it more efficiently. You can do it more powerfully. And you know, sometimes when you're in the middle of a transformation of an industry, you kind of take it for granted how profound it can be. Everything I just mentioned, you guys all know. Of course, that's happening to us. But you know, when I talk to your boards and the senior executives, they tell me this is the single biggest challenge that they have to their business of media. Because this digitization of the connection between creating and distributing is causing them to rethink how they're organized as a company, who they hire, the kind of people they're going to hire, and the technologies that they're going to deploy. Those are pretty fundamental changes. And we're right in the middle of that. And everybody is in some phase of adoption. No matter where I go, sophisticated large organizations are in some phase of planning or adoption of changes to the way they operate. Everybody. Either they just realize they have to do something, or they're pretty far along, and somewhere in between. Everybody's adapting right now. Ironically, AVID was there in the beginning. See, AVID originally took film, as many of you know, and digitized it so you can do things with it that you couldn't do before. And now the rest of the workflow has become fully digitized. And AVID has rethought its participation. Now, AVID Everywhere was designed to address the entire workflow, leveraging our heritage so that you can make the most out of what you love to do, creating great content and make sure it's available for somebody else to enjoy through distribution. Now, AVID felt, you know, we've been here at the beginning, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to lead. We felt like we had no choice. We had to act. Now, this is the traditional value chain that I reviewed, and I'll go through this kind of quickly. That most analysts will talk about our value chain in media this way, from pre-production to distribution and delivery, and these circles represent the areas that we think they're changing the most. This is our new view of the media value chain, and one of the things we highlight is the fact that on the left, the creative side, and on the right, the distribution or monetization, depending on if you're for-profit or not, can be fused. Now, the interesting thing about many of our clients, if you're purely digitized all the way to delivery, you can have a more elegant, efficient model. But many of our clients have to deal with their heritage business of traditional terrestrial broadcasting and the digitized elements. So they actually have a more complicated technical and business challenge when you look at this diagram. Now, interestingly, at the bottom, the boxes in black represent activities that really weren't possible tell us a digital file record. Some of you have seen our cloud-based media composer, maybe in news where you can capture on an iPhone, send it via the cloud to an editor who sends it via the cloud to a producer on their iPad who can approve it and send it on air. That's not possible unless it's a fully digital file record. That's available today. People are using that today through AVID. Things like metadata, measurement interaction, distribution orchestration. So it's a more complicated, complex value chain, but also filled with opportunity. And this is why most people in some phase are trying to figure out how they can make it work and adapt to their organization. But you know what else is changing? And you know what else is being highlighted is how vendors are also in the middle of some adaptation. Many of the communities that are serving this value chain are more organized like the top version. Very siloed, disconnected, too many points of failure. In fact, I mentioned that the banking industry, which consumes the #1 consumer technology, and media is usually number 4 or 5, is 3 times as large and 1/3 fewer vendors. And the concentration of vendors in most segments is much smaller than ours. What this means is we spend a lot more time just trying to put all the pieces together. We estimate it's a dramatic amount of cost and time that we as an industry spends. We wanted to solve this too. You know why this is so important? Because those dollars, and the dollars being moved to distribution, is taking away from the creative side, our heritage clients. If you look at the consumption of rich media, it's going up in the last 15 years pretty dramatically. Consumption. They're consuming what you create at higher and higher numbers, but the budgets to create is only going up single digits. But distributing those budgets, technologies, is growing up much higher because you have to monetize these assets. Well, if we can figure out a way to automate the right hand, we can move more dollars back to the left hand where the joy is. These are some of the things we've been thinking about when we created AVID Everywhere. We're committed to helping you on the biggest business challenges that we heard. We still need to create great, inspiring content. That's the good news. Humans have decided to consume rich media at record numbers. Problem is, that's always, because it's easier to create now, competition has intensified for viewership, listenership, advertising. New entrants come into regulated markets where the regulations don't apply anymore, and it erodes your base business. So we know you have to still create great content, but we have to distribute it through more channels and devices at a time when our budgets aren't increasing concurrently. Do more with less. And that's why there's more pressure to get more value out of every asset we're creating. We just talked about sports. The tagging that goes on there is dramatic because they've realized that the in-venue revenue isn't now how they're going to make their money. It's repurposing that match in many different formats and many different channels and devices downstream is how they're going to make their money. This is our new reality. Maximizing the value has become extremely important. And this is part of the next challenge. As we look for more efficiency to deliver the things I just talked about, there's a lot of new technologies that will allow us to be more efficient, but they have to be media savvy. As we looked at the landscape of the challenges, how do we adopt new technologies in a media savvy way? Because this is our livelihood. You know, I mentioned banking. The #1 digital file record that's targeted by bad guys is a file record with a monetary value. Actually, you trying to move money. That's #1. Do you guys know what #2 is? Who can guess? Anybody? No? Media. Media is #2. First, #2, because they want to take the media and convert it to capital. So it makes sense that #1 is actual capital. So, but after actual capital, it's media. Why am I saying this? Because this is too important for us. You see, some of these technologies that are good enough for other industries who can live with large cloud-based data breaches aren't good enough for AVID's customers. We mostly have large, sophisticated media companies as clients. We can't afford to adopt new technologies that aren't secure and safe. And you saw this again last week with some of these stories about the cloud celebrity photos that were taken from the cloud. Did you guys all hear from this? How many people quickly went on to see if you can go catch some of those too? Oh, no? Okay. Me neither. I'm just asking. Okay, I'm just asking. We can do better than this. There are technologies that enable you to use the cloud in a more sophisticated way when your assets are critical to your business. We can do better. So we felt all these changes offered a moment of clarity for all of us to really think about why we're here, why we matter, where we're going, and how do we move forward as an industry. And this was the basis for AVID Everywhere. Really thinking about our role, a media-savvy, tech-enabled company with a client base that is among the largest in the world, that is going through a transformation, just as we are. Now, I mentioned when I joined, we spent weeks on the road with customers and months. Those months turned into a never-ending road trip for me. Many of you I've probably seen on the road. I've been in every region. And we immediately saw the need for somebody, anybody, to attempt to bring clarity to this morass of changes. And this isn't just a product idea. It was an attempt to solve the most important business issues that we face across the entire workflow for your entire business. Now, today, we don't have the luxury of just being focused on our silo, like just creating. Today, we have to be more creative about how we address the business issues while we're creating an asset. It's still, at its core, about creating great content for the enjoyment and pleasure of another person. But it has to be shaped by today's realities in order to move forward. And we wanted to try to do that together. And that's what AVID Everywhere is all about. I'm going to do a quick overview, if you haven't heard the details, on actually how it works. Beginning at its highest level, it's really simple. We see a world where there's ideas that somebody has to create a news story, a film, a game, whatever it might be for the enjoyment, pleasure, education, information of another person. And we just want to bring these two people together faster, more powerfully, more efficiently through technology. That's what it is at the basic level. And the quick details start with the Media Central platform. Now we're getting technology. So everything that we want to do between these two people, we thought about what does this file record have to do between the time you're creating it and the time it's consumed. Whether or not it's for a game, a film, an audio file, it has to do certain things for broadcast. And those certain things, let's share as much of those things as possible onto one common platform. No different than an iOS on your smartphone. Be careful of posting pictures to the cloud, by the way, if you've read that story. No different than your iOS, your Droid, or your operating system on your iPhone where you have apps sitting on top of this. This is underneath. This is the shared services. So if you load an app from Apple or from anybody else on the iPhone, it all shares common services. That's what the Media Central platform's all about. Now, we went through a lot of these at our presentation, AVID Connect, so I'm not going to repeat it. There's plenty of great videos, but I'll highlight a couple. Probably one of the most popular is under the media services on the left. The searching across the entire network, the indexing. You know how this came about? We would go around and ask people a simple question at the end of our interviews with them. What would be the one thing that we could change technologically that would change your business? Not your technology, your business. There was a lot of answers you can imagine, but one of them was if we had a way to know about every asset, media asset that we've ever created here, through all forms. Maybe you have radio, maybe you have print, maybe you have film, maybe you have audio. If we had a way to have all of it in one place, same format, easily accessible, easily repurposable, that would change my business. Now, most people said to us and continued, but we know that's not possible. And then they would go on to why it's not possible. We've tried it before, we failed. By the time we've upgraded a certain library, it was out of date and we had to update the rest. So we thought about a different way. What if instead we drew on all your repositories, created a floating index taxonomy to search as though it were in one place? What if we did that instead? Well, most people said, that sounds cool if it's real. When we announced this in April, it was the most popular area of our booth because they didn't really believe it was happening. And our sales of the platform, which if you've read about, are growing amazingly. I think in part it's due to this one capability that has solved one of the biggest problems in a much more elegant way. And anything you connect here then is indexable, and you draw on the base source. That is already available in the AVID everywhere on the platform. This is a shared service. I'm going to move over to the right. Connectivity toolkit, something got a lot of attention. Why do we keep arguing over how do we connect? All this fragmentation, money that you waste. Let's just give a tool away that everybody can connect to AVID for free. That's what the connectivity toolkit was. Now, when we announced this, we thought it would take a while to catch on. We've been overwhelmed. Let's just kill that conversation right now and stop arguing over how it's so difficult. That's what the connectivity toolkit was. I remember one article said, AVID just became the most open, the most extensible platform on the planet, ... That's right, I said AVID. I guess people were surprised that AVID was the one that was going to lead the openness. Maybe that caught you by surprise as well. Moving across, let's manage workflow across all the applications, not just AVID's or somebody else's. Let's not sign on to each application. Let's just sign on to the platform, and those that you've purchased appear like your smartphone. These are shared services. These are what the platform is all about. Then on top of this, of course, you'll have applications, modules. Of course, you want to access the application through any hardware device, any operating system, any network. The first suite is the artist suite. That's what people know us best for. Pro Tools, Media Composer, iNews, Sibelius, etc. And some of the things we highlighted, the remote collaboration, that's the cloud-based offerings that we announced. Things like control surfaces on the audio. Some of you know about S6, it's been doing fantastic. Fully configurable, tactile interaction, programmable screens. Here's what's cool. Fully networked on this platform. If I'm on a PC and you're on a full console, it on and off boards as though we're working on the same device because it's sharing. If you're a media composer on video and want to work on the same file record, sharing, much more efficient. Why you have a platform approach. Shared services. Moving on down to the media suite, also got a lot of attention, the most new capabilities we offered. Finishing the connection to distribution. Why don't we help you automate it in an automated way, tag, not just do it manually? How about if we help you protect and encrypt? We saw people with third-party products building their own, not doing any protection. What if we instead just had a simple application, sat right on top of the existing platform? If you turn that on, instead of having a different vendor, different taxonomy, different database, we just automatically separated the file record, encrypted it. Now it's safe and secure. You can keep going down the workflow with the comfort of knowing you can move this around as efficiently as possible. Asset management has become very important now in this model. You can see once you're able to do things like indexing across any third-party storage, and wanting to manage those assets and the value of management becomes more important. Distribution over to the right. I sat in a sports team staying on that sports theme. I left the editorial suite. I walked down to a place they called social media. And most of what they were doing was just repurposing the same asset into different channels and formats before they added additional content. We said, hey, we can do that piece. Not the content piece, but the repurposing. So what this application does is that as a drop-down menu, you select the channels and devices that you want us to reformat for, much more automated. Now, if it's a tweet, a little dialog box will pop up. You put in your tweet, you hit publish, finished. Much more efficient, much more powerful. Moving on down to the storage suite. With the storage suite, ingest and playout works across the entire platform. And this is where you were tying that indexing capability so you can search as though they were in the same place. Smooth, simple, easy. Finally, the marketplaces. Let's say I use that cloud-based example, but I'm going to switch it to Pro Tools. We were all creating a song as the example I gave. And last time in the audience, I couldn't find a good singer, so I'm not going to attempt it today. But do we have any great singers in the room? No? Oh, nobody wants to try that, huh? Okay. We got a couple. I'll hit you up later. So if we created a song on Pro Tools, I can invite you to a session. The singer over there, a piano player, guitarist, I'm the editor. We created a session. We have no distribution. We have nowhere to put it. We can put it on the AVID public marketplace. We have no deal, but when we posted it there, we would have to sign a licensing agreement. Any one of the 10,000, the largest media companies that was interested in a promo on a new song from a guy from New York could go on to this public marketplace and include it in their workflow with the comfort of knowing the lawyers have already reviewed the license agreement. Everything else about that file record is as though they created it themselves because it started on the same exact platform, because the Pro Tools Cloud that we used uses the same platform that CCTV, BBC, Viacom are all using. It's the same. Same common shared platform where you pick and choose the modules that make sense for you. Now, some have talked to us about, hey, can I put my entire library there to more efficiently allow other stations, other broadcasters to incorporate into their workflow seamlessly? Yes, that's what it's designed to do. We're going to make some big announcements here in a minute on the marketplace. On the right-hand side, sometimes even within your own family, we ask a simple question: how do you move around files now? Let's say we have a client with multiple brands, multiple outlets, stations, and they want to share news, and the way they share is very old-fashioned, traditional, put it that way. And we ask people, how do you share these, even within the same family? We heard everything: thumb drives, disk drives, snail mail, we still sneaker mail, Dropbox, Gmail, and all of treasure trove of other ways to move files around, even within the same family. We said, I think there's an easier way. What if we just have a private cloud encrypted way for you to take selected assets, put them in exchange based on authentication, everybody can share it. And think about our large media clients who move around a lot of assets amongst each other. It's just more efficient, simple, even within the same family. Those are the marketplaces. And we have had an unbelievable reception to those marketplaces. I'm excited to talk about that. Lastly, the services, some big announcements coming up, so I'm not going to take too much time on that. Now, one of the most important things, this slide just changed, I clicked it pretty quick, but is that everything I just talked about is built on our existing architectures. When you create a new platform, you can either draw a line on your old ones, build new, and make everybody migrate, or extend your existing architecture and the application, which is what we did. Harder for us, better for you. And the reception has really been fantastic. With AVID Everywhere, we've had more strategic discussions with large media companies than we've ever had. The connectivity toolkit, we thought we'd have to convince competitors to join. Hundreds have signed up. Orders, bookings, I'll show you that in a minute. It's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of excitement thanks to our community. And people realized you can get on the platform now. It's actually working now. We have real clients running it today. You start getting the benefits today, and you're in a position to adopt new modules as they come out very inexpensively. Now, much of what we have built so far has been built on with the protection and on top of about 200 of our existing patents. We have also been extremely active since we announced AVID Everywhere in new patent filings and have been granted several patents. Now, you can see this is real innovation. We're investing heavily, and AVID is leading the way. Now, we strive to develop these products in a way that meets your needs, not ours. Technology is only as good as your ability to deploy it in a way that meets your needs. So we announced that you can still have on-premise, but you can also have private cloud, public cloud. You can do as a hybrid cloud if you want no assets in the cloud, so your pictures don't show up like some of those starlets that was announced. You can have no assets in the cloud, but still use the services in the cloud if you want. You can continue to pay in a traditional license, but you can also do a floating license or subscription. Now, interestingly, most of our large media clients are moving to floating. Hardly any of them are adopting cloud for the media assets. And if they're going to cloud, it's their own private cloud. The subscription cloud-based offering is mostly being adopted by our independent professionals who didn't have a choice before on a cloud-based subscription offering from AVID. Now they can use the best at a better price. The bottom line here is we don't understand why any vendor would force you into their model. You should be limited only by your own strategy, not what's most profitable to us. AVID, you can see through the platform and through its pricing and packaging, allows you to tailor an offering that meets your needs. Eventually, the full suite will be available on cloud or on-prem so that you can decide how best to deploy it in your needs. And we're going to make some more announcements here today. Now, all right, so are we clear about the vision of AVID Everywhere? That was a quick reminder. Everybody get it? Make sense? Yeah? Okay, good. We delivered the first pieces of this in April. And we got a lot of excitement, and it's been a great reception so far. In the Artist Suite, we announced the choice on licensing deployment and cloud collaboration. We had improvements to Media Composer, I already mentioned, the cloud-based offerings, a bunch of changes to Pro Tools, the new consoles, like S6 has been doing great. The Media Suite, accelerated production and distribution capabilities with the director indexing capability and media distribute that multi-channel, multi-device capability I mentioned. In the storage suite, I mentioned we announced the increased storage capacity and resolution support across the entire suite. And of course, the Media Central UX has been extremely popular, that connectivity toolkit. Those were announced in April at NAB. And the reception, as I mentioned, has been fantastic. If you look at the platform unit sales up dramatically, and I think a big piece is that indexing capability and some of those shared services. And you know who's adopting that mostly? Our large clients, because the economic return is almost immediate. If you go up into the upper right, the cloud-based subscriptions, that has mainly been from a totally different group of our community. That's been from independent professionals who, like I said, now have a way to adopt at a much lower cost and a much more flexible way the most powerful platform in the world. Those people are usually coming from alternative options that they had. In the lower right, in the audio side, S6 has been doing tremendous. It has been one of the fastest growing consoles in our history. It's been doing phenomenal. Very portable, very flexible, with the tactile and the programmable screens, allows you to work with whatever the generation is they feel comfortable, fully networked, as I mentioned, part of the platform, really cool. Now here's just a few examples of some of who has been using AVID everywhere. In North America, one of the fastest growing broadcasters in the world was expanding and wanted to modernize both their operations and their workflow. AVID Everywhere became the clear solution, end-to-end. Fully integrated platform across news, video, audio, integrating third parties and competitors, and could connect on the same platform to their Middle Eastern headquarters and the rest of the facilities they had around the world. AVID platform was a choice for them. CBS Interactive, evaluating the latest technologies for their digital distribution. They have the flexibility of being able to focus on just digital. Looked at every new technology from Silicon Valley to the Digital Valley to every part of the world who's called something about their equivalent of Silicon Valley. And you know who they chose? Somebody that surprised them. AVID Everywhere. Integrating across the entire platform, out-innovating even the newest technologies that they saw. Providing a single common platform. Some of you have heard about Sinclair Broadcasting, one of the fastest acquirers of stations around the world. Turn to AVID for a unifying single platform to drive efficiencies, massive efficiencies across their acquired network. And right here in Europe, several success stories, including one of the most innovative, ITV, the largest commercial broadcaster in the UK, needed to create more high-resolution content with fewer resources, faster. Media Central platform offered these collaborative capabilities, resolution support, and openness required to meet their needs. And in Asia, NBC, one of Korea's largest broadcasters, facing some similar problems that you've probably heard. Pressure on revenue from new entrants, competition to create better content, more device demands and channel demands at a time when they need to be more efficient. With the platform, they now can support 300 reporters remotely around the country much more efficiently to deliver content to more channels and more devices. AVID was the answer. AVID Everywhere solved the problem. Now these are just a few of the examples. The platform's being adopted by many large institutions around the world, and a few wanted to tell you their story directly. Check this out.
I'm Fred Maddox. I'm the General Manager of Media Operations and Technology at CBC, and I'm responsible for CBC English Services, television, radio, and digital. The most critical business challenge is that consumer use of media is changing very, very rapidly. More opportunities to reach consumers than ever before, but at the same time, the particular needs of consumers are evolving as they make media more and more part of their life. That sets up a challenge for us, like all media companies, that we need to be able to move very, very quickly. We need to be able to move at a cost point that actually allows us to take advantage of new opportunities. CBC has recently implemented the AVID Media Central platform, including modules in the Artist Suite, the Media Suite, and the Storage Suite. At the end of the day, what that means for us is the ability to publish across many platforms to streamline the production path between our creative and inspirational content workers and the products and services they make. We need that to be simpler, we need it to be faster, we need it to be more effective. AVID Everywhere delivers all of that for us.
We're a boutique facility specializing in post-production for feature films. That means we do picture editorial and we do full-service audio post. So various challenges that come up in the course of this, most of them center around workflow. One of the things you're looking at is where are the pain points? Because in business workflows, pain is what costs. So if this creative unit will not talk effectively with this creative unit, then in between you're going to have to do a lot of manual labor, which is very expensive, in order to translate and to make everything happen seamlessly. Thanks to the Media Central platform, that we have a level of collaboration between, for instance, Pro Tools and Media Composer, with plugin architectures being the same, control surface architectures being the same. This is stuff we've never been able to do before.
Being on the platform, I think, is so important, and having all the different devices or having all the different programs be able to talk to each other ends up just being so much more important. If I end up trying to, use a third-party plugin or a third-party program or storage or whatever, and it's like, and things aren't talking to each other, it becomes so much more complicated and it takes so much more time away. By being on the platform, it allows us to trust that things are just going to move so incredibly quick, and we're going to be able to deliver our product that much faster.
The vision of AVID and the products that it provides very closely aligns with the services that we want to adopt and that we want to provide. So it extends our reach, it enables much wider collaboration between teams that are potentially based on different continents, all working in real time or near real time.
Doc 10's post-production facility is based here in a media city, and we service clients that are predominantly regional based. What we've been looking for in the future is to how we can make those services, first of all, work better for the clients that we currently serve, but also help our clients that are a little bit further reach be able to access the services, the support and the infrastructure that we provide. AVID Everywhere allows us to do that. It truly also enhances what our current clients' workflow. So now the editing process doesn't have to wait to start until they enter Media City and Doc 10. It can start immediately upon shooting on location.
It's that AVID Everywhere vision that enables us to take Doc 10 to the next phase of what it wants to do.
All right. Well, you can see that AVID is delivering on the promise of AVID Everywhere. And we started this journey back in 2013. Shortly after I got here, we launched our white paper on AVID Everywhere. Then, right here at IBC, we gave a little more details last year. And 5 months ago at NAB, we launched the first modules, which you just heard about. It's been really exciting. Now, 25 years ago, AVID reimagined the creative process and the technologies, and the process created a whole industry, a whole sector to an industry. Today, we're now reimagining the connection between the creative process and distribution. A lot of you and a lot of people in the industry were skeptical. I remember those early conversations. People asked, could you deliver? Were we committed? Could we really take such bold steps? Some, though, were happy that somebody, anybody, was finally attempting to step forward. They just may not have expected that it would be AVID. Now you saw the response so far in the units that we've sold on AVID Everywhere. It's been phenomenal. I wish I could say it's because we convinced these people of something magical we were doing, but I know that a lot of our large media clients who are sophisticated have been talking about this for a couple of years. Just haven't had the right partner that saw and shared a similar vision, that they could trust and that was proven. And that's really helped the rate at which our community has adopted some of our technologies. And with your help, platform continues to take off. But we're not finished. We have a lot more to do. And we're not going to stop until we're finished. Today, we're announcing more progress, delivering on the promise, the next bold steps of AVID Everywhere. You heard me talk about groundbreaking openness, flexibility, integration that we promised, so you can keep delivering amazing content to your audience. Now, you remember when we talked about the insatiable appetite consumers still have for viewing high-quality content in the way they want, where they want, how they want, on the device of their choosing? And the push for greater HD viewing is clearly on, with major events around the world like the World Cup, which I just mentioned, I think shortly after that, Commonwealth Games, the Sochi Olympics before that, and on and on and on. Soon, all the broadcasters will be in high resolution, even 8K, which some are testing in parts of the world today. And 4K streaming is even happening on YouTube and Netflix, etc. This puts intense pressure on all of you and all of our clients to handle high-res material with the same agility and flexibility of SD and HD. The incredible fragmentation, though, that we mentioned before puts your production environment in a difficult state because you have to constantly keep adapting in a world of siloed solutions. It's like a technology tornado. You have manufacturers, like which was announced just this last week, constantly trying to one-up each other with newer and never-ending stream of new devices, new standards. On the other end of the value chain, camera manufacturers. You're familiar with this, and you'll hear some more announcements this week. Constantly changing and delivering new technology, causing a massive proliferation of new types of ever-changing standards that you have to contend with. Now, you're expected just to throw out what you bought last year, to deal with whatever new technology is being rolled out, and you're supposed to like it. That's just what you do. You're just supposed to deal with it. And you're supposed to enjoy the pleasure of scrambling again till next year when there's new devices and new codecs, etc. This lack of standardization just creates, in our view, too many points of failure, too many risks to your workflow, because you know that one break in the technology chain jeopardizes your entire operation, your entire workflow. We can do better, and you should expect more. That's why today we are announcing a totally different way to solve this problem. We are introducing AVID Resolution Independence, a completely fluid architectural approach for dealing with any resolution. SD, HD, 4K, and beyond. On-prem, in the cloud, across your entire workflow. You see, we decided to address this at the architectural level, at the platform level. Otherwise, you're going to continue this never-ending cycle. Now, by doing it this way, it was more complicated for us, but dramatically better for you. That's why we did it. Now, remember, a fundamental part of the AVID Everywhere vision is choice and flexibility. And that's what we're delivering here with the AVID Resolution Independence capability. At the platform level, a foundational solution to the high-res challenge. First, this new architecture allows us to scale fluidly with any resolution. Proxy to native with 4K today, but maybe 8K tomorrow, and who knows? Algorithmically, 64K, 128K, all possible in the future. There are no architectural limits. A fundamental problem solved in a totally different way. And you know, as new camera formats come out, instead of throwing out everything, just use a connectivity toolkit, drop it right onto the platform, resolution independent kicks in, boom. Secondly, and maybe more importantly, this works with high-res material across your entire workflow. Most vendors will give you solutions that solve their point issue. Whatever the point solution problem is, they'll make it high-res enabled. We've implemented resolution independence across the platform. So whether you're ingesting, storing, orchestrating, editing, securing, analyzing, distributing, every link of the chain is connected. And it's not just AVID, it's any connected certified partner as well. The resolution independence will work for anyone on the platform. And it leverages the investment that you already have. This is the beauty. This is the unbelievable piece. Because in many cases, just a simple software upgrade will include this capability for those of you already on the platform. Starting this quarter, we're going to begin to support AVID resolution independence. It's going to start showing up in the application modules. No different than the indexing, when people were shocked that we solved the indexing problem that I mentioned earlier on the platform. And then we launched it for certain apps, and we'll continue to launch it because it's a platform capability, a shared capability. You may recall we already delivered native 4K support in our storage suite. And over time, all of our applications will have resolution independence. And we're really excited to kick this off in high gear today with the introduction of the new version of Media Composer, the first module using this shared capability featuring native 4K editing. And this will also include full res 4K monitoring, effects, and delivery, all powered by resolution independence at the platform layer. And this means that editors can now experience the same power and performance in 4K that they had with HD, with no compromise in quality in their final output. Best of all, you'll get it as a software upgrade automatically. And if you're on the subscription basis, it'll just appear. Simple, easy. Now, Chris Gahagan will be up here a little later, as I mentioned. He'll give you more details on how this works. This is big. This is huge. But it's not all. Your fragmentation problems that we just tried to solve at the platform layer go way beyond camera formats, codecs, and consumer devices. The real challenge is those over 1,500 vendors that are all siloed, arguing over whose fault it is that we don't connect. We estimate 25% of your budgets are spent on just connecting all the pieces, some cases worse. Is this helping you win? What would you do if you could invest that money somewhere else? I know we can do better. And that's why at NAB we announced the AVID Connectivity Toolkit and the AVID Marketplace, which work hand in hand. Let's start with the Connectivity Toolkit. Now remember the conversation here. You and I are a vendor. This room is the vendors. This room is the clients. These guys are the referees. And what happens right now in our industry is I issue my connections, API and SDKs, to somebody who wants to connect to me. They take it, they'll go build a connection. You guys start to use it, doesn't work. You guys call these guys and they blame me. And then we go back and blame them. And while we're arguing, our service centers are getting calls from you who are still not happy. We're wasting money, you're not getting what you want. These guys got a headache and went home. Let's just put an end to that. That's what Connectivity Toolkit's all about. An extendable toolkit we've wrapped on our APIs and SDKs. You can connect to any part of the platform at any time. Let's make sure they're certified so that when I give you my free tool to any client, any partner, any third party, anybody can become certified. Now, once we post it to the marketplace, you have the comfort of knowing that it works, and you just call me. Stop arguing about this. Stop wasting money and time. That's what the Connectivity Toolkit's all about. That's what we announced. The response has been overwhelming. We thought, like I said, we'd have to convince people. Hundreds of people have signed up immediately. Today we're announcing a host of new ways to make it easier for partners to interact with us. A new developer portal is launched, extended documentation. The new certified developer program will be available to validate developer expertise and ensure the products and solutions are being used in a way that meets the standard. Streamlined onboarding process so we can add more certified partners faster. And you can see all this in action today. With new connectivity partners across the entire Media Central platform, content creation, distribution. Chris is going to share with you some of the partners we're announcing that have already been certified today. Now you can customize your entire workflow with either AVID's products or somebody else's on the same platform and get the benefits of the platform. Just as we promised. This is AVID everywhere. Now, the marketplace. You can then go, the first components of the marketplace, which is opening today, are those connectors that we just mentioned. You go to the AVID marketplace, and Chris will explain how to get there. You go on, see a certified vendor, and if you purchase any of their products and have a certified connection, you have the comfort of knowing easily integrates and it's certified by AVID. You know it works. We upgrade, we're going to make sure the certified partners still work. Clients get to focus on what they want to focus on. Great content distributing, simplifying the entire workflow. We're just getting started. Next year there will be hundreds. I'm excited for you to check out the marketplace and see the 20+ vendors that are already certified as of today. Can you believe it? We did it. We did what a lot of people thought was not possible. And the innovation continues across the entire platform and product suite. Now, if you look here quickly, because Chris is going to go over this in more detail, in the Artist Suite, we talked about that 4K editing enabled by resolution independence, powerful live show mixing enhancements to our console suite, portable music creation to our Pro Tools suite we'll be announcing today, expanded content search. That indexing capability is now available on iNews. Remember, that's a platform capability that will be turned on by app. Accelerated ingest and playout through AirSpeed in our storage suite. Resolution independence, which I just talked about. Connectivity Toolkit with its first certified partners, a brand new portal to onboard people faster. And the official opening of the marketplace, beginning just with those 20+ connectors that you'll see certified, will be rapidly expanding. This is the beginning. And this follows up on that quote I gave you. Open is. AVID is the most open, flexible, extensive platform in the planet. Simplifying one of your biggest challenges, trying to save you money. Now, all of this investment in technology and openness and new connectivity is now going to be matched by amazing service. It's true that AVID Everywhere really changed the landscape for technology, and I think paved the way for a new technology standard in our industry. But it's only as good as the service we deliver. We want to change the standard and set a new standard for how you think about the way customers and partners interact together and where our responsibilities begin and end. We've talked a lot about fragmentation this morning, but it's not just the products with all those silos that are the issue. Service delivery in this industry is also massively broken. We have to get them both right. Because as an industry, as a community, we aren't able to solve the problems just with great technology. It also has to be a relationship that works for both parties. Think about it. What other industry can you have where a vendor just announces only one mode of delivery? Like cloud. Talks about with their investors how much more profitable it is for them, and you're just supposed to like it, even if it costs you more and reduces your flexibility. Think about your production environment. Figuring out how many of all these siloed vendors are supposed to work together, how they're supposed to interact. Some of our clients even sit all the vendors down to try to coordinate this. It's your problem, is the way our industry is used to being treated, not ours. When you change a connection or standard, you're supposed to smile and live with it. It's just what you do. It's what we do. And we need them most, they change or charge for service or delivery. But what if it didn't work like this? What if you had the kind of relationship that allowed you to move forward more quickly? What would that look like? What if you could decide how you wanted to interact with us, in person, online, wherever and whenever you wanted to? What if when you called us, we knew everything about you? We knew what products you were on, any open issues, any last interactions, so we can get right to work on helping you, not figuring out who you are. What if training came to you in the format that you decided? What if you received features and functions as soon as they were ready and weren't tied up with long development cycles? And what if our production environment was predictive diagnostically, and we can proactively reach out to you before issues occur? And what if we can guarantee a level of service that is unmatched by anybody in this industry for all of our clients and all of our products? So what should you be expecting now from a technology platform as revolutionary as AVID Everywhere? Should come with a way to partner collaboratively. The industry's expectations for service need to change just as much as a siloed technology platform where everybody's so prideful of their proprietary technology. This is what you should expect from every vendor you work with. This is what you deserve, a new standard for service. And that's what we're announcing today, the AVID Advantage, a new standard for service in the industry delivered by our new AVID Global Services organization. Now, the AVID Advantage is designed to help you interact with us in a way that meets your needs. First and foremost, packaged and priced in a way that fits your business. The primary goals are to achieve the maximum value from investment, your investment. Deliver the benefits faster, at a minimum cost, in a way that works for you. Sounds pretty straightforward. To do this, we're expanding our service offerings. We're providing new ways to engage with us, which Rick's going to go over shortly. We're going to ensure consistent processes and handoffs and taking a highly proactive approach to working with you. AVID has set the new standard in technology innovation with AVID Everywhere. Now we're setting the standard for service with the AVID Advantage. This is a new standard that you deserve, you should expect from everybody, and I suspect some would be writing about, yeah, that's right. It came again from AVID. From AVID. It's one of the main reasons we hired Rick Lowenstein, came to us from Adobe to set this standard that was unmatched. It's a critical part of our commitment to you, and it is part of AVID Everywhere. Now this morning, we have shared the latest developments on AVID Everywhere, the progress on the ACA. You've learned about some of the customers who are already benefiting from AVID Everywhere, some of the enhancements like AVID Resolution Independence on the platform, the connectivity toolkit, the partners who are now certified on the marketplace and integrated into the platform, and now the new AVID Global Services organization delivering the AVID Advantage. It's a lot of progress since April. We've been busy. but there's still so much more to do. We're just at the beginning of this journey, and I can't wait for you to go to Las Vegas and hear about what's next. Before we get there, we have a little more to do today. I'm going to end it here for now and hand it off to Chris and Rick, who are going to come give you a little more detail on both the product and service offerings. And right after that, I'm going to come and wrap up. Thank you. See you in a bit.